All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I wanted to do a quick update on what kind of Reforge crystals I used in my weapons, and I figured I'd explain why I used them and why I chose what I did. But yeah, this is mostly for Dark Knight, though I think most classes will probably use very similar ones. But just wanted to show you what I chose. Still missing 2 in the main hand, but either way, we're still going to talk about that. And the offhand, this is what I use. So, in my Awakening, we use down attack damage, crit, AP, HP, and Black Spirit Rage, or Black Spirit Recovery, which might be a strange one for some of you. But yeah, so for Dark Knight in particular, I chose down attack damage plus 2%, because when we look at a lot of our skills in both main and Awakening, so we look at our down attack damage, and basically all the relevant skills that we have are basically down attacks, and then the same for our main abilities, which basically everything as a Dark Knight is a down attack damage. So I think this is a very solid choice, no matter what you play, Succession or Awakening. I think either one will be very solid, and especially if you're Awakening, your major skills are obviously Spirit Legacy, Shattering, which is weird. The Seed of Catastrophe, the main attack doesn't have down, but the flow does, and then literally everything else. So that's why I chose down attack for all of this. It's just basically every skill has it, so that's why. Crit hit damage 1%. I do believe this is actually solid, because when you look at a lot of your skills and your Phantom Blade critical hit is 100, most of the Dark Knight abilities are already at 100% crit rate, so that's just overall higher damage, and you cannot stack 2 different like down attack crystals for like multiple on the same weapon. So yeah, so crit rate is always good. That's just across the board damage higher, no matter what kind of like CC type it is or any of this. So crit damage, I think, just overall is good for, I would say, a majority of classes. The next one is all AP plus 3, just straight across the board, more damage. HP plus 200. Now, I like this one a little bit more, just because, one, it makes number go bigger, so that's always good. And for very specific things, like the non-group, like boss splits or the weekly bosses, HP is probably one of the more important stats, because you know how it's capped. Like if you do your weekly bosses, the solo one, not the group one. I want to make that clear. Like your AP is capped, and you have to basically manage your auras for everything. So just not dying as much, or just if you do take a hit, it's not as bad. So I think one thing you could replace this with is, if we looked at the other ones, if we look under Reforge crystals, I do believe that all damage reduction is a very solid one. Just that can compete with the HP. Depending on how you build, though, like if you are a defensive class in nature and you just are full DP and everything, all evasion and all DR would probably be better than HP. But for me specifically, I just like to have the HP be a little bit higher, and so that's why I chose that one. But if you chose like all DR evasion, I don't think that's a bad option either. Like the defensive HP one can be replaced with a lot of other things. That, let's just say, that could be your flex spot. And then I also chose Black Spirit Rage Recovery 0.5%, simply because I wanted to test this one out. And you know how back in the day when we used to have Tungrad rings instead of Debarekas, we would be able to use more, or like, I guess you could use it on a little bit of a delay. So instead of hitting 100 and then using it, you'd be able to go to like 120% or something and hold it a little bit. So the way you could look at this is, you see how the yellow text right here says Black Spirit Rage is 2.5% every 10 seconds. So if we take this off and take this off, it says 1.5% every 10 seconds. So I have actually 2 of them in for each weapon. So one of them would be 2%, and then this one is goes to 2.5%. So generally, when you have your Black Spirit Rage buff going up more often, I believe that is overall nicer. And I actually thought of this. I was like, so should I add like a back attack damage or another defensive? And I think just overall more burst than using your Black Spirit Rage, just in general. Like, I think that's just overall more damage and output. I still have to do a little bit of testing with it, but from my knowledge and what I've tested so far, is you could generally survive and do really well, or not really well, but just well, at like tier 2 Ash Forest with around like 7,000-ish health. So when you're full buffed, you'll be way above that, especially with the HP crystals. All DR is also nice too. And so, yeah, as you grind to higher end spots, you're kind of wanting to use Black Spirit Rage more often. And so I was like, maybe if I could get this off, will it overall equal more trash than if I had like a back attack crystal or something, or more defensive. So the goal is higher damage output, but also not like trade. I also want to have a little bit of a balance of defensives as well. So yeah, the HP one, that is your flex spot. But for me, I actually thought the Black Spirit Rage recovery was an interesting one. So in here, what I have is also a down attack damage plus 2%. This is a kind of like a Dark Knight specific one. I'm sure other classes could do it too. So I have like 2%, along with another 2%. And then the other two crystals, or I'm going to be getting in here in my main hand, is plus 3 AP, because that's just straight up more damage. And I think instead of a crit for the main hand, I might do one more defensive, because for me specifically, I grind a lot of the higher end grind spots just because that's where I'm at in gear wise. So like I do want to have a mix of a defense or defensive and offensive. So Black Spirit Rage recovery, I think at higher end is just really nice to have. So yeah, the one thing I'll be switching out from main hand is, or just putting it in, like I'll still have both of them, is probably one all damage reduction plus 5 and then plus 3 AP. So I think that's overall good. And yeah, that's so what I picked. So let me know, would you guys choose with your class as well? Because I know some other classes that aren't like max crit or anything, they chose some other different ones. And I'm pretty sure if you're playing like a support Shy or something, chances are you're doing Black Spirit Rage and then more HP. I guess, I don't know, depending on what you do. But this is more tailored toward Dark Knight and what I thought was good. I still have to play around with the Black Spirit Rage one, but I think overall it might be nicer, just like min-maxing at the end kind of thing. But I'm still doing more testing with that. But anyway, either way, I assume this is still new enough for most of you guys on all your servers, to the point where most of the good ones are basically sold out anyway. So chances are, if you already have all your crystals, you're doing great. But if you're just waiting to buy them off the market, I don't think these are too bad. If you do more PvP, all accuracy is probably good, because a lot of us traded off accuracy accessories for Debarekas and everything. So being able to get another 6 accuracy times 2 of them is always a good option. And these are probably very specific PvP crystal usages. So I think for most people, back attack damage, always good. That also probably stacks with your crystals and everything. Same with down attacks and crit damage. Crit rate probably depends on your class more often, but you can't really go wrong with straight up AP and like defensives and everything, or crit damage or back attacks. So yeah, you could play with a lot of different ones. That's just what I chose, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And recently we did a video on all my crystals updated. So if you want to check that out, it's on the channel under recent videos. So you can see where I talked about everything and why I have those crystals. It's more in-depth video. But yeah, with that said, that's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you come back. And we have a few videos coming out in the near future for updated guides that I wanted to talk about that I didn't really have a chance to before. But yeah, so would love to see you guys come back. Welcome to the channel if you're new. and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.